Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video in the Python series. Today I'll be teaching you about passing lists to functions in Python. Okie dokie, so let me show you something really cool in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and define a function called add numbers to list. This is going to have one parameter, which is simply going to be a list of numbers, so we'll call it numbers. Now since this parameter here is going to be a list, we can go ahead and do numbers dot append, and it's not giving you the completion stuff, but that's okay. We know it's a list, so we're going to do append, and then 1, and then numbers dot append 2, and then numbers dot append 3. Okay, oops, 3. And so now we're going to call this function. So first we're going to need a list to actually pass to the function. So we're going to have my list. That's going to have some initial values, so 4, 5, 6. And then now we're going to do add numbers to list, pass in my list, and we're going to go ahead and see what happens afterwards. So print my list. And I want you to, at this point, try and guess what the output will be. So before we call the function, we have 4, 5, and 6. Inside the function, we are doing numbers at append 1, 2, and 3. So what do you think will be the output of the print function here? So try and guess. So anyway, I'm going to run it now, and we get 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. So that may have been obvious to some of you, but it may have not been obvious to others who have been working in other programming languages before this. So the phenomenon that we have here is called passing by reference. So whenever you pass a list to a function in Python, it's going to be passed what's called by reference, meaning that behind the scenes, the actual list in memory is being passed to this function. So whenever you modify the list in the function itself, it's actually going to modify the list outside of the function. And again, this may have been obvious to some of you, but it may have not been obvious to others. So it's just clear to actually make that distinction so that you know whenever you do something like pass a list or an object, as we'll learn later, to a function, it's actually going to be modified in and outside of the function, okay? Unless you do something like make it immutable. So just as a recap, we have this list that we created here outside of the function. We pass it into the function as a parameter or as an argument that's assigned to this parameter here. But this numbers list is actually the same list behind the scenes as the one that I have here, my list. So whenever we do numbers at append, it's actually appending it to this original list as well. So when we go ahead and print it out, even though we're never reassigning my list, we're never returning anything from here and then reassigning it to my list, even though we never do that, it's still going to actually modify it, and then we're going to print it out, and it's still going to have all the values, okay? So that's pretty interesting. But keep in mind, this is only for lists and certain data types like objects. So generally speaking, just worry about it for lists at the moment, but once we learn about objects and classes and all that fun stuff. So for example, this does not happen with strings, numbers, and booleans, and those basic data types that we already know about. So if we go to define a function, so like defined double number, we pass in number, and then we simply do number is equal to number times 2. You may say, oh, because this list is actually modified, the number will also be modified, but again, it's only for lists and objects and stuff like that. It does not apply to strings, numbers, or booleans, okay? So let me just go ahead and show you before I explain that further. So we'll do my number is equal to 5, and then we're going to do double number, so we're going to pass in my number. And of course, 5 times 2 is 10, so maybe if we print this out, it should be 10, but it will not be because I told you it's only for lists, okay? So if we run this, we get 5. It does not change. Even though inside of the function we're doing numbers equal to number times 2, it does not change the original number variable that was passed into the function as an argument. So the difference here is that whenever you're passing in a primitive value, such as a number or a boolean, as an argument to a function, it will not pass it by reference. It's going to copy the value into this new variable called number. So the parameter here will have the same value as the number that you pass in, the variable that you pass in, but it's actually copied. It's not the same variable itself behind the scenes, okay? So in short, you don't really need to know about all those details, but in short, it will not be changed even though you change it within the function. But for a list, as we saw up here, if you modify the list within the function, it'll be modified outside the function, okay? So now, of course, you may say, well, what if I don't want that to be the case? What if I don't want that functionality? So in that case, you can actually make it so that a list will not be modified inside the function. You can essentially make it so there's a copy of the list made, and so that if you change it within the function, it will not change it outside the function, okay? So let's just start with a list of names here. So got a list of names: Bruce, Billy Bob Jr., Bobby, and Bobby Jr. Very creative names, of course. And then we have a function here. So it's function add prefix to names. So it's going to loop through each of the names in the list that we provide. It's going to prepend this string here, Mr. So if that works, it should be Mr. Bruce, Mr. Billy Bob, Mr. Billy Bob Jr., Mr. Bobby, Mr. Bobby Jr. Okay, so now let's go ahead and test this out first of all before we do anything else. So we're going to go ahead and do add prefix to names and then pass in names. And then we're going to go ahead and do print names. So based on what I told you a second ago, it should now modify this original list even though it's being modified inside the function, okay? So if we print out names at the end, it should have Mr. in front of everything. And it does, of course, because like I said, again, for the millionth time, if you pass in a list into a function, it will modify the list outside the function if you modify it within the function, okay? So if you don't want this to be the case, if you don't want the original list to be modified, you can use what's called the slice operator within Python. So to do that, if you go here where you pass in names to the function, on the end of that, just put bracket and then closing bracket, and then inside of those two brackets, you put a colon. And what that will do is behind the scenes make a copy of the names list that you provide into a new variable that will eventually be assigned to this parameter here. So this parameter here inside of the function, it will have a copy of the values that you pass in with the names list, not the actual reference to the names list itself. So you don't have to worry about the original list of names being modified. So that data is essentially untouched, which is very nice in some instances, okay? So with the simple change that we added, if we rerun this now, it should now have only the original value. So Bruce, Billy Bob Jr., Bobby, and Bobby Jr., which is awesome. So that's all you got to do. That's called the slice operator within Python, okay? Slice operator. And that's pretty much all I got for you for this episode. Now you know what happens when you pass in a list to a function as an argument. It will be modified outside the function unless you use the slice operator or make a copy some other way. And now you know how to actually use the slice operator, which is cool too. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully you learned a lot. I found this very interesting myself because it's not something you see in other languages in terms of the slice operator, but passing by reference is also very common within other languages, so it's good to know about. Anyway, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Alright, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. In the description below, I'll leave a link to the code for this episode so you can check it out. You can bookmark it, come back to it later. If you forget any concepts or you just want to review the concepts I taught in this video, I'll mark everything up with comments so you can come back and read the code without having to rewatch the video, although your reviews are greatly appreciated. So yeah, I'll leave a link for that in the description below, so make sure to check it out. And another thing is I'll leave a link to our Discord server. It's a big community for programmers. You can ask for help on your programming projects if you're stuck on something, or maybe you can get some new friends. If you don't have any friends, there's lots of people here. It's growing really fast. You can find lots of people who are passionate about the same things as you. For example, if you like Minecraft Spigot development, you can find lots of people who like that. If you like C++, if you like Java, if you like web development, it's a really, really big programming community. So feel free to join. There's a link for that in the description below. And the last thing I want to tell you is that if you want to support this channel, you can click the join button below this video, and you can join this channel as a member for as low as 99 cents a month, and you can cancel at any time. You get some cool perks like early access to all of my new videos, a cool rank on my Discord server like you see right here on the side, YouTube members, and also you get to see yourself on the screen like you see right now. So if that sounds cool to you, feel free to join. If you don't want to, that's fine. If you can't, that's okay too. I really just appreciate you watching the video anyway. And thank you. Thanks a lot. And that's it. So if you like this video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And peace.